Manchester United haven't been great in the last few weeks, but that was a new low tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like what was happening under Rangnick 2 years ago, where it's at the point where there's almost this feeling in the club that it needs a change of direction. And I mean, it's not just that the football is bad, that there's no shape. I mean, it's interesting they play Arsenal this Sunday. Because I remember for years, actually, there was this talk, especially on social media, say, of Arsenal's, I can't believe I'm going to use this phrase, but their banter era, because it led to so many farcical results and defeats. And I was trying to think about it, because Jamie Carragher mentioned it on Sky Sports as well, the number of humiliations, not just in the 11 years since Ferguson went, but even the last 2 or 3 years alone. I mean, Ten Hag has been responsible for so many, and this is just the latest of a list of them. And I mean, that even if there are like bigger debates about Ten Hag and the squad he's got, the injuries, whether there's suitable replacements out there, it is at the point where it's pretty much unjustifiable.
Yeah, it wasn't good, Martyn, was it? What did you make of that performance tonight and the general context of where Manchester United are?
Yeah, I mean, it's been coming, I think, this sort of result. Do you mean that match that they played against Brentford about 5 weeks ago, and Brentford absolutely dominated them, and so United were lucky to get away with a draw there. It did seem like this has been building up, but it was, I mean, a cataclysmic, wasn't it? I mean, some of the defending, Casemiro had 2 terrible occurrences, which both led to goals. So, this is a guy who sort of, Erik ten Hag, staked his reputation on signing for a lot of money for a player who was towards the end of his career. So, I think it's to me, I don't see how Ten Hag lasts beyond the end of this season, to be honest.
Yeah, Miguel, just picking up on that point, how much of the responsibility for performances like this in the last couple of months, how much falls on Ten Hag, how much on the players, do you think?
I mean, ultimately, it's Ten Hag's job to get a response to the players. Also, I think it's been pointed out a few times, 7 of the starters in that team tonight were players he picked, and I think Amrabat came on to make it 8. Now, people can say they didn't get certain options he wanted, but Antony was. Casemiro, fair enough, that was one of them. They didn't get De Jong, but then it was even odd in the first place they went from De Jong to Casemiro. I know we're going back here, but I suppose this just points to how there have been bigger issues with this. But even allowing for all those caveats, I just find it remarkable that they go out without any real sign of a system that works. I mean, we're told what Ten Hag wants, which is kind of, pressing system with high wingers. But the gaps in the team, the way it seems they can't play anything close to that if there are any sort of players out. And it's hard to look past the manager there. It really shouldn't be this bad. And I remember there's been a few times over the past few years where it was said of Mourinho, it was said of Solskjaer, where United played sides who were kind of mid-table or lower. And the talk was they're once again playing a team that's better coached than them. They just have individual quality. It's got to that point with Ten Hag. Well, every week they're playing a team that looks better set up. And that's when it comes down to the manager. Again, I suppose we return to this debate where I think this is one that a lot of clubs have had. It's partly why Xavi is staying at Barcelona, where it's maybe a strange moment for the manager market because it feels like we're between eras. We're passing out at an era where obviously Guardiola and Klopp have been the best. Then you have people like Conte, Tuchel, although Tuchel's an interesting one. And now it's because there's a lot of burgeoning managers who don't have that big club experience. A lot of the major clubs don't quite know what to do or who to go for or to take a punt. But at this point, it feels like the biggest punt of all will be persisting with Ten Hag, especially given the changes that Ineos want to make at United.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about the kind of pattern of play, the managers. We saw Oliver Glasner's team tonight, who's had a good reputation coming from Europe, Martyn, but not certainly not a household name. Almost coached Ten Hag off the park, and his players just looked hungry. They were sharp all over the pitch.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a remarkable transformation, hasn't he, since he took over at Palace, but came with some decent pedigree. And I do think it may be that clubs like Manchester United have to look a bit beyond the sort of big names and the big clubs because, as Miguel says, those sorts of managers that you can rely on just aren't there because lots of managers are struggling in big clubs. Tuchel at Bayern Munich has been outshone by Bayer Leverkusen, and the market just isn't there. So I think you have to be a bit cannier, a bit cleverer, look around, and perhaps trust in yourself and be a bit patient. And I think look at the slightly longer term, because I think that is something that Manchester United have failed to do ever since Ferguson left.
Yeah, I mean, Miguel, Arsenal would be looking at Manchester United as a potential banana skin and a tough game. But after what they've seen tonight, they'll be licking their lips, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, they should really. I mean, because even, I suppose this is the same with the cup final. And I have to say, as I was watching the game tonight, the thought kept crossing my mind, well, would United have a better chance in the cup final, say, if they brought Solskjaer back in as a caretaker? I mean, given the results he used to get against City, given whatever about Solskjaer's ability to do the job in the long term, he was clearly suited in that temporary role. It has got that bad. And yeah, which feeds into this weekend. I mean, I suppose the build-up to this is maybe a little bit like the Liverpool game, say, at Old Trafford. And this can happen in these sort of situations, especially when it's a rival, as Arsenal are, where suddenly it's football and this is the glory of the sport. Something strange can happen. So just as we went into that United-Liverpool game thinking that that Liverpool were going to destroy United, it was, I suppose, one of the most unexpected 2-2 draws we could have seen, given the way the first half went. Now, Liverpool probably should have destroyed United, but that was the start of maybe a bit of this drop-off we've seen, and they couldn't finish. Arsenal already have those problems right now. I think they're going in, they look fresher than Liverpool did going into that game. They look quite ruthless at the moment, as if now going out of European football has actually served them, because it's allowed them to kind of pour everything into the league like this. And I mean, again, it's just, if you weigh everything up, it's difficult not to just see a comfortable Arsenal win here. But I suppose the only thing that makes you stop thinking that is, well, that Liverpool game, and strange things can happen in football. But it's remarkable that once again we're talking about Manchester United, and we're like resorted to saying things like, well, that's football, anything can happen.